Water pollution. Water pollution. Water pollution refers to any change in the physical, chemical, or biological characteristics of water that makes it unsuitable for its intended or designated use in its natural state. For example, imagine a river that flows through an industrial area where factories discharge untreated wastewater directly into the river. This wastewater contains high levels of heavy metals like mercury, then various chemicals which are used in manufacturing processes, and organic pollutants. So how it will hamper the physical characteristics of water? The discharge of untreated wastewater into the river increases its turbidity due to the suspended solids and sediments. This turbidity reduces the light penetration and thereby affecting the aquatic plants and organisms that depends on the sunlight. Then how it will affect chemical characteristics? The untreated wastewater introduces chemicals such as heavy metals, mercury, lead, and other organic compounds like pesticides, solvents into the river. These chemicals can alter the pH levels, dissolved oxygen levels, and introduce toxic substances which are harmful to aquatic life. Then biological characteristics. The presence of pollutants can lead to the growth of harmful algal blooms due to the nutrient enrichment or eutrophication, which depletes the dissolved oxygen levels in the water. And the reduction in oxygen can suffocate the fish and other aquatic organisms, leading to the mass die-offs and disruptions in the ecosystem. So in this example you saw that water pollution is evident through changes in rivers' physical, chemical, and biological characteristics, due to which the water is unsuitable for drinking, recreational use, or supporting aquatic life. Surface water pollution. So it refers to the contamination of surface water sources such as streams, lakes, and rivers by the harmful substances. What are the sources of surface water pollution? First is sewage. Discharging untreated or partially treated sewage into freshwater bodies introduces organic matter and pathogens, leading to eutrophication and health hazards. For example, untreated sewage from urban areas which is being discharged into rivers can contaminate water sources downstream, affecting aquatic life and human health. Second, industrial effluents. Industrial processes generate effluents containing various pollutants such as toxic chemicals, heavy metals like lead, mercury, acids, alkalis, and organic compounds. For example, factories releasing untreated effluents containing heavy metals into nearby rivers can severely harm aquatic ecosystems and make water unfit for consumption or recreation. Third is synthetic detergents. Phosphates and surfactants in synthetic detergents used for washing and cleaning, it can lead to foaming in water bodies, disrupting aquatic ecosystems by reducing oxygen levels and affecting fish and other organisms. An example is detergent runoff from households and commercial establishments entering lakes causes foaming and harming aquatic life. Then is agrochemicals. Agricultural runoff containing fertilizers, pesticides can contaminate surface water. For instance, runoff from agricultural fields carrying excess fertilizers and pesticides can enter nearby streams or lakes, causing eutrophication, toxicity to aquatic organisms, and affecting water quality for drinking and irrigation purposes. Then next is oil. Spillage of oil from shipping accidents or industrial processes can coat the surface of bodies, which will lead to the suffocation of aquatic organisms and long-term contamination of marine ecosystems. For example, oil spill in the ocean where leaked oil spreads and affects marine life, birds, and coastal habitats. Then last is waste heat. Discharge of heated water from industrial processes into rivers or lakes can increase water temperature beyond natural levels. This thermal pollution reduces oxygen levels, disrupts aquatic habitats, and can affect the distribution and survival of sensitive aquatic species. For example, cooling water discharged from power plants into rivers can disturb the ecosystem balance and threaten fish population adapted to specific temperature ranges. So this image illustrates various sources of surface water pollution and explains how pollutants enter surface water bodies like lakes, rivers, creeks, and coastal waters. Like first is runoff from the roads. When it rains, water that is not absorbed into the ground, it flows over the roads. Roads contribute oils, greases, construction dirt, trash, and cigarette butts. These pollutants are washed off roads into the surface waters along with the runoff. Then storm water drains. Items which are dumped into storm drains can lead to pollution. Trash, chemicals, and other waste products are the main pollutants in this case. These pollutants they flow through the drainage system into rivers, canals, and coastal waters. Then is agricultural runoff. Excess of the fertilizers and pesticides from the lawns and gardens are washed off during the rainfall. These pollutants they flow off into the nearby water bodies, contributing to nutrient pollution and eutrophication. Then is vehicle maintenance. Poor practices in vehicle maintenance, such as oil changes, it can lead to pollution. Oils, antifreeze, brake fluids, and other automotive fluids are the pollutants in this case. These substances can seep into the soil and groundwater, which eventually contaminates the surface water bodies. Groundwater pollution occurs when contaminants they enter the groundwater, making it unsafe or unsuitable for its intended use. Unlike surface water pollution, which affects rivers, lakes, oceans, groundwater pollution is harder to detect and control due to its underground location. Let's understand with the help of example. Imagine a factory located near a residential area that produces chemicals. Improper disposal practices led to leakage of these chemicals into the soil. Over the time, rainwater washes these chemicals deeper into the ground. Rainwater carries these chemicals through the soil layers where they infiltrate through the soil pores and eventually reach the groundwater table. Residents in the area unknowingly use contaminated groundwater for drinking, cooking, and other daily life activities. Long-term exposure to these pollutants can lead to health problems such as cancer, organ damage, and many more, depending on the type and concentration of the contaminants. Detecting groundwater pollution often requires specialized monitoring wells and testing equipment due to its underground nature. Moreover, once pollutants contaminate groundwater, remediation can be challenging and expensive as groundwater moves slowly and cleanup methods may require extensive time and resources. Thus, the persistence and hidden nature of groundwater pollution makes it a significant environmental and public health concern that requires careful management and prevention measures. So this image illustrates various sources of groundwater contamination. Agricultural fields. These areas can contribute to groundwater contamination through the use of pesticides, herbicides, and fertilizers. Runoff from these chemicals can seep into the soil and reach the groundwater. Second, oil and gas wells. Drilling activities and potential leaks or spills from the oil and gas wells can introduce hydrocarbons and other pollutants into the groundwater. Then third is road salts. It is used for de-icing roads. These salts can dissolve and infiltrate the soil, eventually contaminating the groundwater with high levels of sodium and chloride. Landfills. Improperly managed landfills can leach chemicals and waste products into the soil, leading to the contamination of groundwater with a variety of hazardous substances. Then metal and coal mines. Mining activities can introduce heavy metals and acidic drainage into the groundwater, significantly affecting water quality. Septic tanks. Improperly maintained or failing septic systems can release bacteria, viruses, and chemicals into the groundwater. Now you can see the blue arrows, it indicates the flow of groundwater, showing how contaminants can spread through the subsurface, and the red areas represent the zones of contamination, highlighting the impact of these pollution sources on the groundwater quality. Sources of groundwater pollution. First is sewer leakage. Poor workmanship during installation, defective sewer pipes, damage from the tree roots, rupture due to heavy loads or earthquakes, and loss of foundation support. So as a result, what impact would be there? Contaminants from the sewage can infiltrate the soil and reach groundwater, causing microbial contamination and introducing organic pollutants. Then liquid wastes, improperly managed septic systems and sewage disposal, effluents from industries containing heavy metals, solvents, and other chemicals, and storm runoff can carry pollutants such as oils, heavy metals, and pesticides from urban areas into groundwater. Then third is solid wastes. Leachate from landfills contain a variety of pollutants including organic compounds, heavy metals, nitrates, trace elements. These can seep into groundwater if not properly contained. Then industrial activities. Discharge of untreated or inadequately treated industrial wastewater into pits, ponds, or lagoons can introduce toxic chemicals and heavy metals into the groundwater. Mining activities. Mining operations can release acids, heavy metals, and other pollutants into groundwater through processes like acid mine drainage and leaching of mine tailings. Then agricultural sources. Leachate from phosphate and potassium fertilizers, as well as various soil amendments like lime, gypsum, and sulfur. These can introduce nutrients and chemicals into the groundwater. Then leachate from agricultural fields where pesticides, insecticides, herbicides are used. They can contaminate groundwater with toxic chemicals. Each of these sources contributes to groundwater pollution through introduction of various contaminants, posing risk to human health and ecosystems dependent on clean groundwater.